All right, check my channel. Mute that. What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We are live right now here on YouTube. Let me know if you can see and hear me. President Donald Trump has just bombed Iran. That is correct. He has just bombed Iran. And I'm going to let you hear it live here as he is live. And we're going to go directly here live here in a moment here as soon as people come on here. And yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts here. So I just covered a video here a moment ago or a day ago. And a lot of people didn't believe it. A lot of people didn't believe it here. And there was some news that President Donald Trump would make an announcement in 14 days. And, you know, I just thought that that really wouldn't be the case because why would he make an announcement and say, hey, we're going to go to war, we're going to bomb Iran and announce it? Well, that wasn't the case. He just did it and then said, oh, yeah, we're successful. So, yeah, let's go live here. I kind of caught the end of it, and we'll bring it up here in a second here. So take a look here at what President Donald Trump has said here as we go live with President Donald Trump here.
Was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel. And God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Who thinks Iran is going to retaliate against the United States? Comment in the chat section. Do you think Iran is going to retaliate? Type yes or type no. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts here in the comment section. What do you think? What do you think here? Yeah, so let's go over some things here. Trump tells Axios after U.S. strike on Iran, Israel is much safer now. Yeah, so the U.S. strikes 3 Iranian sites, joining Israeli air campaign after the nuclear program. So they used what they're calling a bunker buster bomb. And the U.S. military conducted airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facility, which is Sunday morning local time. Obviously, it's Saturday night time here. President Trump, who announced the, quote, very successful attacks on Truth Social, told Axios in a brief phone call that Israel is much safer now. This officially brings the United States in the war because we bombed Iran. He plans to deliver, he just did deliver the attack here. We just watched it. What were your thoughts on his address here? Trump's decision to intervene directly in the war in what he calls support of Israel to dismantle Iran's nuclear program marks a historic escalation in the Middle East. Do you think he should have intervened? Let me know your thoughts here in the comments section. And what will the fallout be? It's an intervention fraught with risk and uncertainty, one that Trump and many of his predecessors had sought to avoid, including through diplomacy with Iran. The attack, which came the 9th night of unprecedented war between Israel and Iran, could provoke retaliation from Iran against U.S. troops and military installations. Yeah, so they struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites, Trump announces. And get this, they used the B-2 stealth bombers involved in Iran's strikes, U.S. officials have said. So, yeah, so these B-2 stealth bombers pretty much went undetected and flew right through Iran's anti-air defense systems, flew right through, bombed in the heart of Iran, and dropped the bunker buster bomb deep into their territory and into their nuclear facilities, and basically got the job done. So Iran, defenseless, so it seems, basically had no defense against it. And it says here that it's been reported here that the movement of the B-2 bombers can be equipped to carry massive bombs that experts say would be ideal and struck the sites here. And President Donald Trump said this, let me see here, that's all for that. And President Donald Trump is calling for peace now, but this is, after Iran has been struck, and how do you call for peace after you strike Iran? I mean, the question here is, what will the fallout be? And is there going to be attempts or actual attacks from Iran now on the U.S. or on U.S. military personnel in the Middle East? Remember, the United States has somewhere around 40,000 military troops in the Middle East alone. So 40,000 U.S. American troops are in the Middle East right now, and we have military bases all around the Middle East, including all around Iran. Yeah. So you guys can let me know your thoughts on this here in the comments section. B-2 stealth bombers and 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb. They were saying previously that it was such a difficult feat. Well, apparently not for the U.S. military, not for the U.S. Air Force, because it has now been completed. And I had asked this here on our last broadcast here about a day ago, should we do this? And it was interesting because we had about half the people say, yes, we should do this. We should eliminate their threat for a nuclear bomb. And about half the people said, no, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't stick our nose in there. And we shouldn't enter the war. And so it was about 50-50. I thought that was surprising. And it was about, not that I'm on either side per se, because I could argue either side of it, because I could argue and say, yes, we should eliminate the threat for the nuclear, Iran's nuclear bomb. But I also could argue and say, well, we don't want to be in World War III, and I guess we'll see what will happen, right? Because on the other hand, you know, we could fast forward 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and we could be in World War III, right? Russia and China could take their side, and we could actually see World War III, you know, materialize. So the question here is, was this the right decision? Was this the wrong decision? We really don't know. We really don't know. You know, if nothing really happens and this all cools down here in the next several months and just it eliminates the threat of Iran having a nuclear bomb, and it's one more country that is hostile and doesn't have a nuclear bomb, well, then maybe it was a good decision. On the other hand, if this brings the world into World War III and we have an Axis and Allies kind of decision here, or materialized kind of thing here, and we end up seeing, you know, NATO versus Iran and China and Russia materialize, well, then maybe it wasn't kind of a good decision. And you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. What do you think will happen? Will this bring us into World War III? Let me know your guys' thoughts here in the comments section. Yes or no? Will this bring us into a World War III type of situation? Let me know in the comments section. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy what has happened just in a matter of a few days here. Just in the matter of a few days, how quickly this stuff has materialized. Yeah, so so take a listen here to President Donald Trump. And
do we have Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon? Can we get her up and we can talk through what we're hearing from military sources? Jennifer Griffin is live at the Pentagon. Let's bring Jennifer in. Jennifer, we're just getting word, obviously, with the president's announcement, what this looks like.
Well, Brett, we knew that there was something afoot this morning when we woke and heard that there were 6 B-2 bombers that had been seen leaving Whiteman Air Force Base last night at midnight. And so those planes, we were told, were heading towards Guam. Now, Guam would have been an 18-hour flight into Iran, so it is likely that it was a different set of B-2 bombers that were used to bomb the sites, the 3 sites that the president mentioned tonight on Truth Social. That is the Fordo complex, which we've been watching all week. That is the massive main, sort of what's known as the heart or the crown jewel of Iran's nuclear program. It's underneath that mountain just outside of Qom, which is 2 hours south of Tehran. That complex, we understand, has been bombed by those U.S. B-2 bombers tonight. Also Isfahan, as well as Natanz. Natanz had another underground facility. Remember, before Fordo was built in 2006, Natanz had been the main enrichment site. It was also built underground. Israeli jets had been targeting it in the last week, but they had not been able to penetrate underground. So those U.S. B-2 bombers, which flew out of Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, they would have taken out that underground facility. Natanz is interesting. You'll remember, Brett, it was the site of the Stuxnet virus, the cyber attack on those centrifuges years ago. But again, it was back up and running. And what is surprising, I think, tonight is that the president announced that it was not one site, but 3 underground sites and sites inside Iran's nuclear program that were struck by the U.S. Air Force tonight.
Yeah, and it is something. We'll go back to that Truth Social and eventually Control Room, if we can put it up there just so that everybody can see it on the screen. The fact that this, first of all, this announcement comes from Truth Social. This is a president who has put out a lot of announcements, big announcements through Truth Social, and this is the biggest of them, probably his biggest decision. The very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites, as you said, Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan, getting very specific there. And the payload, he says a full payload of bombs dropped on the primary site, Fordo. That suggests, Jennifer, as we had been saying for many days, that they may have made several passes at Fordo, considering that the experts were saying that just one probably wouldn't have gotten to the heart of that facility.
Well, remember, Brett, we've been reporting in recent days that Fordo is interesting because it has 2 entrance points. And we were told by experts who have followed the planning for this kind of strike for a long time that it would take at least 2 bombs from the B-2s, those MOPs, the massive ordnance penetrators. Those are 30,000-pound bombs, and each B-2 can carry 2 of them. Usually the way it works is that one of the MOP 30,000-pound bunker buster is dropped. It goes into a hole that's about a radius of about 25 feet, I'm told, and then the second bomb is dropped in the same hole. And so at first that 30,000-pound bunker buster will go down about 200 feet, explode, and then make way for the second bomb, which falls into that exact 25-foot radius hole. And of course, people are calling right now, so just a moment.
That's basically
and so what's interesting about it, Brett, is that you would have had to have at least 2 B-2s, but I believe that it was likely
like
a package of 6 B-2s that would be flying. They each had 2 MOP massive ordnance penetrators on board at the time, and they would have hit both those entrances at Fordo. The president saying that Fordo, that the complete package was struck. That is significant because that means, as you said, that it would probably be multiple passes and multiple bombs dropped there.
Yeah, so as we get ready, remember they are, 7 hours ahead, and this would have been the window to pull this off. The president again saying that it was very successful in 3 different sites. We should point out that the Israelis have worked really, as we've been reporting over the last week plus, very hard to take out the air defenses of Iran. Already in a first wave of runs back in October, the Israeli military and Air Force took out a lot of those surface-to-air missiles. Now, with this latest bombing run over the past few days, Jennifer, they have essentially eliminated it. And to talk to Israeli officials, they said they have control of the skies, really a full path to Tehran, and they've been taking out sites and targets at their will, they suggested. And this led the way for this bombing run tonight.
Well, the Israeli Air Force has just been unbelievable in terms of their success since June 12th. They have been carrying out nonstop runs and strikes against Iranian targets, including the first night, 14 Iranian nuclear scientists who were taken off the battlefield, as well as about 50 top generals in the Iranian military, including the head of their Air Force, their ballistic missiles, their drone capabilities, their IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard Corps. So they have really had incredible success in terms of all of the spots and all of the above ground spots that an F-16 or an F-35 could take out. They said a few days ago that they had air superiority. That then opens the way for the, and what that means is that they've taken out most of the air defense systems on the ground so that then their planes could really fly with impunity. And that also opened the way for those very, very, the stealth bombers, the B-2 bombers, which also are escorted, we're told, by F-22s and F-16s, and also the EA-18 Growlers. They play a very significant role. That's an electronic warfare jammer that flies with the B-2. And remember that second aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, had just gotten into the region earlier today. You had the USS Vinson. Those EA-18 Growlers are on board those aircraft carriers. They are absolutely essential for the B-2 to fly over Iran, even though the Israelis had air superiority over the country.
Jennifer, stand by if you would. Do I have Greg Palcott in Tel Aviv control room? Is he up and running? Okay. All right. We're going to get him up and running. Interestingly enough, Jen, we have seen a lot of Israeli missiles and drones coming in really night after night into Israel. This night has not seen that much of that. There have been a few warnings, but not the same volley that we've heard in recent days. In addition to taking out the surface-to-air missiles and clearing the way for the ability to take out targets inside Iran, they've also really managed to take out a lot of missile sites and places that had been threats for missiles fired from Iran. There is a sense even that they were taking out the trucks that moved the missiles, as precise as the Israeli military targeting has been. You've been reporting on that over the last few days.
It's really extraordinary because when this
Jen?
started, the Israelis estimated that the Iranians had about 100 mobile ballistic missile launchers. They have taken out, they think, about 55% of any of the missile launchers that the Iranians have access to now. The Iranians have blown through quite a bit of their missile stockpile. They had about, I think, about 3,000 ballistic missiles when this started, maybe between 1,000 to 2,000 that could reach Israel, and I think that they've fired about 500. But most importantly, the IDF and the Israeli Air Force have been able to take out, as you mentioned, almost half of the missile launchers. So each night we've seen fewer and fewer ballistic missiles being fired at Israel. All of the drones that have been fired at Israel have been taken out. We understand that Israeli pilots, along with American fighter pilots, have been taking down those drones each night. So American pilots have been helping as well, as along with those U.S. Navy destroyers. There are 5 U.S. Navy destroyers in the Eastern Med off the coast of Israel who've been using their Aegis defense systems to shoot down ballistic missiles over Israel. So the U.S. has been very involved, along with U.S. soldiers who are on the ground. There are about 300 U.S. soldiers that are working at who are manning the THAAD and the Patriot PAC-3 missiles that are defending cities within Israel, and those are operated by U.S. soldiers, about 100 soldiers per THAAD missile.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to...
Yeah, so, Laurel brings up a good point in the live chat. Iran has been attacking our soldiers and our bases for a long time, along with Hamas and the Houthis. And, they haven't attacked U.S. Homeland or, the main homeland here. But, even under Biden and, for years going back, they've been attacking. I remember going over this here over the past year or so. It was like up to 200 attacks or something plus. And we stopped counting I can't even remember. There's hundreds and hundreds of times that, Hamas and the Houthis and, all their, other, aliases have been attacking our American bases there in the Middle East. What? Just let them do it? Continue to do it? So eventually they, she said in the chat, effed around and found out. Yeah. Now, Shay said in the chat, I can't blame Trump for doing what he did. Yeah. I agree with what she said. Now, we'll see what the fallout is. We'll see what the fallout is. Now, this could lead to World War III. It also could not. Iran is having a hell of a time for just dealing with Israel, let alone wake up the sleeping giant of the whole United States, which has 15,000 fighter jets alone. They can't stop our bombers. We literally just went and dropped bombs on them with B-2 stealth fighter jets, and their air defenses couldn't even handle it. So, if they start attacking the United States back, they literally can't stop our bombers. So, they really got to think this through, that if they start trying to attack us, Trump ain't playing around. So we could just literally just send bombers in there on a daily basis and bomb the whole country. I'm not saying that that's what he is or isn't going to do. I don't know what he's going to do. But you got to think that this is a different story with Biden versus Trump. Okay, so you guys let me know your thought. Now, that doesn't say that Biden didn't attack back, because he did. We did do some attacks back, but obviously it's a different story now. Okay, but we have thwarted their, again, we don't know the ins and outs of exactly how much damage we did to their nuclear facilities, but it looks like we have taken out almost all of them. We've hit them all, and clearly we've set them back dramatically from what they had, right? So the question here is, if you were president, or if you're just thinking about this, would you want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Let me know in the comment section right now, yes or no. The other question you should ask yourself is, if you were president, do you can't say you would negotiate with them, because they've been trying that for years. So the other question is, negotiations don't work. They've tried it till you're blue in the face. Do you take out the nuclear facilities? Which is what they did. So they took out the nuclear facilities. Now, what will the fallout be? Will there be retaliation, or what will the retaliations be? Now, Iran's been retaliating back against Israel. Some of the missiles have gotten through to Israel. The U.S. has been supplying Israel with anti-air missiles and defense systems and stuff like that. And what will it be against the United States as well, or the U.S. military troops in the Middle East as well? So this is what you got to ask yourself. Would the world, or would the Middle East be better if Iran had nuclear weapons? So when you think about this, it's just they took out Iran's nuclear weapons facilities, nuclear weapons sites, and all of them, and their ability to make nuclear weapons in the future. All the uranium mining facilities and all the facilities that make all these things, and even the scientists that worked on them. Most of them are gone too. And even some of their generals and heads of departments and stuff like that were in the areas and stuff like that. So if you kind of just think about this, this is an enemy of the state. If you're talking about Americans in America that have been attacking America and American bases and Israeli bases for years and years and years, and for the most part have been getting away with it. So the question is, how long do you let them get away with it? They've been attacking military bases in the Middle East hundreds and hundreds of times, and they've only been attacked back, not nearly as many. So the question is how long do you let them get away with it? And, even this wasn't even like this was just an attack back on their nuclear facilities, right? Wasn't even like, you know, bombing major cities or something like that, right? You know, they're actually attacking our bases, you know, or like a bases with people on them and stuff like that, right? Now, sure, there was people there too, but like these were strategic points to get the nuclear bombs and the mining facilities and stuff like that, right? When you look back at the history of when they're attacking us, they're just attacking every single military base we have in the area with people on them. Like our troops are there, right? They're not like going after like, oh, the nuclear mining facilities. I mean, I think you get where I'm going there, right? So that's kind of the question here, right? I think a lot of people would say yes. We don't want them to have a nuke, or anybody would say, most people would say, it's better if Iran doesn't have a nuke. The question is what will the fallout be? Will it lead to a larger war, a world war? Will China and Russia join in, or what will happen there? Will China decide, hey, we're going to take Taiwan now because we, you know, think it's our right, or, you know, what will the fallout be here because of all this? So, yeah, this is kind of, we'll see in, you know, several months from now, as this all plays out. It's just like the game of Risk. If you've ever played that, you know, when you know, many years ago when I was a kid, we played the game of Risk. And the funny thing is every time you play the game of Risk, you know, when you go for world domination and, you know, one country's battling for more territory and stuff like that, every time you play the game of Risk, it comes out to be a different outcome, which is interesting. And, you know, what's interesting about something like this is that if you were to play a scenario like this, you could have a different outcome every time, you know, and that's what's interesting. If you were to have different scenarios in you know, different future timelines, you never know what could happen. You could have completely different futures, right? If you just kind of think like that, you know, you think about like, you know, how the elections have played out, and some of these past elections have been so razor thin close, and you almost think about what would have happened if that election went a different way, or another election went a different way, or a different election went a different way, how our future could have changed, right? Or what if Trump would have been president 2 times in a row, or lost the last election, or won that election, or how our future would have changed, right? You know, it's interesting, right? And now, all of a sudden, we've entered into a war bombing Iran. And Trump literally ran his campaign on no war. No war was one of his big campaign promises. And here we are, literally within the first few months of his presidency, and the U.S. is bombing Iran. So, yeah. You guys let me know your thoughts, but this is what's happening. So, yeah. So I'll keep you up to date. We'll see what happens as things unfold, because this is literally just hour number 1 of this happening. Yeah, so make sure to share this video with everybody, because they need to hear this. Don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't yet, subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future videos. Click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live, and help me reach 500,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.